What is going on, Ep Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm Caught Stealing Fantasy Baseball Show. We continue our Fantasy Baseball ADP Breakdown today, taking a look at the starting pitcher position. We're going to go through the top 75 starters off the board. ADP you're looking at on the screen is a combined ADP, composite ADP. There we go for the word. Composite ADP, which you can find over at fantasyalarm.com, and you go to fantasyalarm.com/MLB/ADP. So, yes, some of these ADPs may be a little bit different from your league. If you're playing on Yahoo versus ESPN versus RT Sports, it is a composite of all those. So, it's about an average of where these guys are coming off the board. We'll do our best to break down our favorite plays in each tier and get you guys prepared for your drafts. Of course, the Fantasy Baseball Draft Guide and Cheat Sheet is also live over at Fantasy Alarm. You can scan that QR code right there. Go to fantasyalarm.com. Click anywhere on the page where you see the draft guide to take advantage and buy that. If you are a Fantasy Alarm member or not yet a Fantasy Alarm member, you can also take 50% off that first month. It's included. fantasyalarm.com/YouTube. Promo code YT50 will also get you the draft guide and cheat sheet for just $20. So good opportunity for you to join the family, win some money, and then win your draft as well. Grande, big position to talk about here today. Starting pitching, there's a lot of strategy involved with starting pitching and where and how you go about targeting pitchers, especially for those playing best ball. I know you have some takes on starting pitching and how to go about drafting both regular seasonal fantasy baseball and best ball as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm excited to be here, of course.
Hit the like, share, subscribe button.
Hit the like, share, subscribe. You guys can go through our first 6 episodes. First 6? Is this 6? First 6, right? Episodes, and watch all of our positional breakdowns. I think this is episode 7.
Yeah.
So we have the total installment, and then we're going to start getting into, in future episodes, we're going to start getting into more traditional waiver wire stuff, and some mailbag and all the good stuff, your prototypical fantasy baseball podcast. But when it comes to pitching, it's a very interesting time in baseball because you just don't know, and it's unfortunate to say out loud, you just don't know when someone's arm is just going to completely explode.
Sure.
And obviously, we've already seen it, right? Hunter Green is down until at least July with an issue that he said he felt last season, which feels like a bigger issue than it's like a big issue that because there were multiple other injuries that Hunter Green was dealing with, and it wasn't really brought to our attention that bone spurs was one of them.
No, it was a groin, and if you remember, Francona said he was having like a mental issue.
Right.
With Francona, right? That's I think
working back from the groin.
Yeah, like he didn't trust that he wasn't going to like re-injure his groin for a little bit, so he was like slow to come back. On the plus side, he did say the UCL is completely okay, so this is just cleaning up the bone spurs in the elbow, but.
Yeah, but like the extent of the absence, he was, he's currently, because of where he's been drafted, was the 20th pitcher off the board, like total, right?
Yeah.
And now he's basically like
he's out till July minimum.
So. Yeah, minimum. And then we're talking about a ramp up process, right? Like it's like guys who are coming back from elbow injuries don't just come back and like, hey, I'm good to go 6 innings. So like with the volatility at the position and a lot of like really high upside pitchers that you can get in the 20s, and we're going to see it 20s and beyond on this list. And I'm talking like kind of rankings here.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine and have basically deployed a hero pitching strategy or a totally wait on pitching strategy, because I think that there's some positions that are very top heavy that we talked about, outfield being one, second base, first base, third base. Like there's certain positions that you'd rather get early and I don't think pitcher's one of them. So I have really waited on, like, am I saying that if Paul Skenes or Tarek Skubal fell in a draft, or if Garrett Crochet fell in a draft to a position that they shouldn't be, I wouldn't take them? No, I would absolutely take them. And if you're in a keeper league, and if you're whatever format you have these pitchers in, yeah, great. Like, you're going to be happy with that. But I just don't think there's a necessity to draft multiple of these guys early with just how volatile pitching has become in baseball. And honestly, like, there's really high upside arms later in the draft.
So we'll take a look here. Obviously, on the board, you have the top 25 starters. Skubal, Skenes, Crochet, absolute aces. They're all first round picks going in the off the board here. And then you go and kind of jumps into sort of the second, third, fourth round area of Yamamoto, Sanchez, Brown. You have Wu and Gilbert, Sale, and then Fried rounding out the top 10 starting pitchers. So of that 10, anybody that you're absolutely looking to go to, any fades for you among those 10?
Any fades, I guess, is honestly that's probably the question, right?
Right.
Fades, because
anybody of that group that you're looking at and you're like, you know what, not for me here.
That's not Skubal, that's not Skenes, that's not Sanchez, Crochet, Yamamoto. Any of the top 5 at their ADP, I'm taking. Hunter Brown, 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. All the numbers looked real. Career high in basically everything. Game started, quality start. I mean, doesn't give up home runs. I'm not fading him. I mean, Bryan Wu, I guess, is a little bit interesting, right? Because he had the injury, kept him out. He has made 3 appearances in spring. All projections still have him making and pitching 180 minimums minimum. A lot of strikeouts for Bryan Wu, 198 strikeouts, 186 pitches, and we had that, or 186 innings. I would say if I'm fading anyone, it would probably be Wu, and it's only because he's coming off an injury. But it's not the pitcher himself.
You could say no. I mean, like, does Chris Sale scare you, as he gets older? I mean, like, I know how good he was, but he's also been a guy that has been fragile over his time. I mean,
dude, he was so good.
I know, almost a 12K per 9 last year. 2.5 ERA. I mean, the guy won the Cy Young the season prior,
and a sub 3 like xFIP, sub 3 expected ERA. Like, everything tells me that Chris Sale is just coming into this year that, like,
just a beast. I agree. Like I said, there doesn't have to be a yes. I was just asking if there was anybody you didn't like.
I mean, I think injury concern for Wu late last year would make me a little bit skeptical, and I don't think I've taken one share of him because of that so far.
Okay.
Not because I think the pitcher could be really good.
Yeah.
I just, there's obviously a little bit of concern here.
Logan Webb is your SP11. The guy had a sub 3 xFIP last season. Jacob deGrom, I guess, maybe is like the first real, finally had like a healthy season, and he was really good. Again, 30 starts, 172 innings, almost a 10K per 9 for him, a 2.97 ERA, but there's obviously a long history of fragility here with Jacob deGrom. Cole Reagan's missed time last year with injuries. Freddie Peralta's in a new area, new team with the Mets. What are your sort of thoughts as we kind of work our way into the mid of this top 25?
Yeah, I mean, I think Logan Webb's as steady as it's gonna get, especially if you're in quality start leagues. you basically don't get as good as Logan Webb year over year. DeGrom's volatility scares me. I mean, pitching volatility and injuries. I mean, the one guy that was dealing with an injury late last year was Bryan Wu, and that's the one that I kind of pegged as like a little iffy. DeGrom making the amount of starts that he made does scare me, but maybe moving to Texas and working with a new training staff and a new pitching program has helped and hopefully elongated his career. I'm fine with him. I'm fine with Reagan's. I like the park shift for Peralta quite a bit. Going to Citi Field, it's a good pitching environment. Kirby had a pretty disappointing year, but obviously he's another one who started the year with an injury. And I think that was like kind of the issue in general for Seattle last year. Like they were dealing with pitching injuries immediately. Like Kirby in the spring, he didn't pitch till middle of the year, and then Logan Gilbert in the middle of the year, and then Wu at the end of the year. Seems like everything's good for Kirby. He hasn't looked great in spring. There were some expected numbers that suggest that George Kirby was a little bit unlucky last year. 4.21 ERA, 3.88 expected ERA, 3.25 xFIP. He did have a career high in K per nine. Is that because he threw less innings? The walks were up. So when you're naturally throwing more pitches, leads to more walks, more strikeouts. I think Kirby's okay here. Cease is
team in Toronto now.
Yeah, I mean, another good park to pitch in.
He had a 4.55 ERA last year, but he had a full run less for the expected ERA and all the sabermetric stats there, plus 11.5 K per nine. He just walked almost 4 per nine, which isn't
good. He's a very high upside pitcher because the strikeouts, and we saw it. I mean, he almost won a Cy Young a few years ago. So I think Dylan Cease looks very good. Joe Ryan, past the injury because he's now pitching for the WBC and could chart. They said he could start the championship game if Team USA makes it there. So obviously, we're past the back injury that he was dealing with. Luzardo just got absolutely paid, and sometimes it takes prospects a little bit longer to get going. We obviously saw that with Jesus Luzardo arriving in Philly. Dude, if Jesus Luzardo didn't have those like 2 random blow-up starts back-to-back last year, he might have contended for the Cy Young. I mean, obviously, Skenes was well above the field, and Christopher Sanchez, who wasn't an all-star, finished second. But is it possible that Philly has second and third in the Cy Young if Luzardo just doesn't have 2 bad starts in the middle of last year? So I think Luzardo looks great. Framber.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, what do you think of Bradish here? SB20 off the board. Guys made a total of 14 starts the last 2 seasons. We did see him make 30 starts back in 2023. He was really good. 2.83 ERA, a strikeout per inning there. Was 4th in the Cy Young voting, but immediately throwing him back in as a top 20 starter here. Do you have any reservations to that?
Yeah, I mean, he looked great at the end of last year, but it was such a small sample, right? It was such a small sample. I mean, since becoming a full-time starter, which is kind of a fluke because in 24 and 25 combined, he's made 14 starts, but like he's been really good and the numbers have backed it up basically every year, I get your position because health has obviously not been on his side, and
starts in 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's a little worrisome, but I do like the pitcher. I do like the pitcher a lot. A lot of ground balls. Last year he didn't, but it's like such a small sample. It's really hard to fully judge him on the rates. I mean, he's a career 47% ground ball rate guy, 32% fly ball rate, which I love overall. So the strikeout rate has been up in this limited sample. The ground balls have been good. I'm in on Bradish, but this is the range of guys like Joe Ryan, Luzardo, like the Joe Ryan down range.
Yeah.
Is where I've had the most trouble knowing what's on the other side, basically, of 25. Like,
Sure.
25 and down is where I have largely taken a lot of my shots at starting pitcher.
Yeah. I'm obviously a big Eury Perez fan.
That's exactly 25 and down for me, and down. I'm counting Eury.
6'8", 22 years old, still 23 years old going in. Expected ERA last year still 3.23, even with a 4.25. We know he's got ridiculous strikeout numbers off the Tommy John, 105 and 95 innings pitched here. So, the guy was a beast as a rookie. Missed the year with Tommy John, but he's back throwing hard. So I am definitely a fan of him there. If you do go to the next tier of 25, though, you said there's guys on the other side of it. Who are we looking at?
Yeah, man, this there is a lot of names here that I have interest in. Kevin Gausman looked really, really good last year. He's a name I have a lot of interest in. I think Sonny Gray. I hate that I like so many Boston pieces this year. But they're really cheap in fantasy this year. I think Sonny Gray pitched way above a lot of the numbers this year or last year. Big strikeout guy. I'm not touching Strider. The velocity has been super terrifying in the spring.
Yeah, someone said it was a 92.5 or 90 something
Cincinnati Red Tyler Glasnow is probably not going to be on my radar either.
Do we have a little typo on that one? Happens. You know what happened was I got rid of Hunter Green because once the thing I probably just erased the wrong bar there.
That's just me picking fun at you.
No, that's the
graphics look great, John. The graphics look great. The graphics look great.
I think everything else should be fine, but I was erasing the Hunter Green from the graphics though.
It might have also been. I'm wondering where there's one omission here that I would want to talk about because I think he also pitches for Cincinnati.
Okay.
And that is like the kind of range that Chase Burns is being drafted at.
Okay.
Chase Burns is being drafted like right at that number.
Could have been that as well.
Because that's mainly the guy that I want to like, that I have been most bullish on.
Yeah. I mean, I put in for our Fantasy Farm futures best bets. I think it was like plus 800 to get like 180 strikeouts this year or something like that. Let's see, expert bets. If you are a Fantasy Farm member, you can go to the expert pick section and check out all of our futures. Let's see, I put in Chase Burns 180 strikeouts plus 650. So
ooh, spicy.
I
mean, he pitched 43 innings last year and had 67 strikeouts.
Yeah, if you include his minor league numbers, he had like 150 strikeouts in like 120 innings or something like
he is so like that's I didn't mean to not try to make you do extra work here, John. I think just like knowing this is the range I've largely lived in like drafts. Gausman, Gray, Burns, who I assume slots in for Tyler Glasnow here.
Yeah, Burns should be after Mizorowski.
Okay. Should be after Mizorowski. Okay.
Yeah.
Super high ceiling. You look at some of the expected numbers for Chase Burns last year. 4.57 ERA, 3.46 expected ERA, so a full run lower. 2.65 FIP, 2.68 xFIP Chase Burns.
Yeah.
The ceiling is tremendous. Obviously, just needs to stay healthy. Has only had a year of minor league experience, but what else did he have to prove at the minor league level at that point? Woodruff is a stay away for me. I'm not a big fan coming off the same injury. I believe the same injury as Bryan Wu is. Mizorowski, super high ceiling. Cam Schlittler is throwing 2 new fastballs this offseason. Sure. 2-seam, sinker, which every 2-seam is now a sinker. Every sinker is now a 2-seam. And he's throwing the cutter. So I love Schlittler's long-term upside.
Just for what it's worth, Glasnow is correct in the correct spot.
Glasnow's in the correct spot.
The team just wrong.
Okay. Savage. The interesting part about Savage is they said that they're going to limit him to start the year.
Yeah.
Because he had such a heavy workload in the postseason, obviously. And I think if he would be drafted higher if that weren't the case, because this is another guy that has insane strikeout upside and just insane upside as we saw in the postseason. The splitter, when the splitter's on, it's probably the best pitch in baseball, not his specifically, but with a good splitter, it's probably the most unhittable pitch in baseball. Lodolo's interesting, but health has always been a factor. Zack Wheeler, how many starts, John, would Zack Wheeler have to make for you to draft him at pick 130 or ADP 130?
How many starts? 25?
Do you think Zack Wheeler makes 25 starts?
I don't know. Probably not.
If Zack Wheeler makes 25 starts, I would draft him probably before most of the pitchers on this list.
Okay.
Nothing else?
I mean, he's obviously a super talented pitcher. He's coming off of an injury, right? We don't know the workload. We don't know how the ramp up's going to work for him. So
yeah, he's throwing live BP over the weekend.
Right. So
the ramp is still pretty far away. We're still a little ways away for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, if he makes 25 starts, that means he's missing 5 to 7 starts. Right? Do you think he throws 20? What's your range? What do you think he goes?
I think it's probably low 20s. I think because he's coming off a major not injury. Is it even considered an injury? A health scare, right? It's a health scare more than it is an injury. So I don't know. I don't think I would put it at 25. I'd probably put it 20 and a half. I'd maybe bet the over at 20 and a half, but by 1 or 2 starts.
Okay. Yeah, again, he's super elite, so it's not too bad there. Michael King, Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi's having a great season last year until he went down. I don't hate it. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Mackenzie, Gore, and Trevor Rogers?
I'm a little out on Eovaldi only because as he's gotten older, the amount of starts he's made has totally deteriorated.
Sure.
Since 20, 25, 29, 22. So he hasn't completed a full season. 24, he was good, but a little out there. Who'd you ask? Trevor Rogers?
Yeah, Mackenzie, Gore, Trevor Rogers.
So I liked the Gore. I really liked the Gore park shift, a lot. He has pitched horribly in spring training.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Spring isn't. Spring. Yeah, right. It's different ballpark.
So, Mackenzie Gore through 3 starts has a 9% strikeout rate in spring. Right? There's a guy who has had 23, 26, 25, 27% strikeout rate through his first 4 seasons. I don't think 9% is sustainable. I love the park upgrade. Texas has been one of the best ballparks in baseball to pitch in. So I really like the fit. Another guy that I've drafted a lot of. Rogers is a little bit interesting because he obviously had an all time. How do we describe it? Was it an all time
I mean,
glow up?
dude, when he came back, it was unhittable. So
18 starts, 181 ERA, but his expected ERA was 340, which is still fine.
yeah,
But it's a run and a half higher than what his ERA was, and his xFIP is 364. His Sierra was 375, which is a skill interactive ERA.
yeah.
I mean, like, it's just hard to like say that that's repeatable based on the peripherals, but pitching, there's a lot of luck to pitching as well. We've seen it. We saw it for a couple straight seasons with Tyler Anderson. That's our most recent example. How
Yeah.
bad he was surface level, or how good he was surface level, but under the hood, everything looked terrible. Things don't look terrible for Trevor Rogers under the hood. They just don't look like a Cy Young candidate under the hood. So I'm good with it. I don't have any objection really.
I think
At
it's
the
interesting
range,
if you think about it, like where Rogers is and how he pitched last year, but Bradish is going, 100 picks ahead of him after making 14 total starts in 2 seasons.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see the contrast between him next to Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah. I mean,
Dude,
obviously,
Sandy pitched horribly and Rogers pitched like a Cy Young, and they're being drafted right next to one another.
and obviously, most are hoping that Sandy can kind of bounce back to the guy that he was pre-arm injury there.
Wasn't
But
that the thought last year? That was like the hope for last season.
the velo was there, but everything else is bad. I mean, he still threw 97, 98 last year. He just had nothing else working for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also not saying I wouldn't draft Sandy. I just think it's interesting how those two are right next to one another, right?
Sure.
Like you have a guy who was so good in Rogers versus a guy that had a 5.36 ERA. And honestly, in every fantasy league was probably available at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy Alcantara was probably available on the waiver wire at some point in every league last year.
Yeah. I mean, you would assume he was dropped.
The second half, though, what I'll say is, and maybe this is where I can look at Sandy and think maybe there is something there. He had a 7.22 ERA in the first half, and he pitched to a 3.33 after the break.
Sure.
The strikeouts are obviously way down, but at least there's light at the end of the tunnel here for Sandy. Another guy that I'd be okay taking.
Taking any shots on Bubba Chandler here?
Yeah, of course. I think Bubba Chandler, do I think he's as good as he thinks he is right now? I mean, no, he's like talking down on Paul Skenes, right? Like seems like a silly thing to do. I know it's like friendly banter, but Bubba Chandler doesn't believe that.
No, he had issues with walks at the minor league level, but didn't really have that, in his limited appearances last year. So
yeah, I'm good with Chandler. Like Rasmussen is a guy that just is such a good pitcher, but they were super cautious with last year. So if you think that the reins are taken off a little bit, then I'd be good with drafting Rasmussen.
It could also just be Tampa Bay's overall strategy too. Is like these guys pitch 5 innings and we get the bullpen.
To be fair to him, like he's not your best option in leagues that are, you're looking for quality start leagues. He is not the guy for you but he does get a massive park upgrade as well. Like the Tampa, it can't go under. It can't go undersold. How Tampa's pitching staff should get a massive boost here.
Yeah, it jumped over Pepio, but he's up at the top of the rankings there at 39. So
yeah, Pepio looks great. I mean, he looked really good for a lot of last year. He would be drafted for me ahead of. I mean, I would take him ahead of Evaldi. I'd probably take him ahead of Michael King. I'd take him ahead of Wheeler, not knowing how many starts Wheeler's going to make. I'd take him ahead of Lodolo. I'd probably slot Pepio a little higher on this rankings.
Okay. What about Ranger?
Dude, very interesting for me that to see Ranger down here. Obviously, not like the best ballpark to be going to pitch in, but he's a super high ground ball rate guy. The strikeouts are kind of where they're going to be. It's slightly under 1 per 9 or slightly under 9 per 9. 23.2% strikeout rate for 2 consecutive years. He doesn't walk anyone. Gets a ton of ground. Like we talked about, no hard contact. Yeah, no hard contact. So. He pitches deep into games. I mean, there was like, he's made 26 and 27 starts the last 2 years. I know people have kind of talked about his like inability to like pitch a full season. There's always a IL stint with Ranger Suarez. But dude, 26 to 27 starts a year is like, in today's game, like if you get me that like every year, that's pretty good. I'm good with Ranger at this ADP.
Okay. What about Shota, who had obviously a really good rookie season last year, not as impressive here.
Injuries too last year for Shota hurt.
The overall numbers weren't great either. His expected ERA was higher than his actual ERA. The strikeouts obviously were down. But do you think there's any possibility of a bounce back here?
It's fine.
Okay.
He ran really good, as you mentioned. 219 BABIP against. Like, that's, really good batted ball luck.
Final 75 here. Final 25, rather. Notable names for you on this list. I think Cincinnati just said Abbott's going to be their opening day pitcher, if I heard that correctly.
Yes, they did.
Coming off pick 55 here. Edward Cabrera, I threw in the graphic. Now pitching in Chicago. Kind of interesting spot for him there.
Yeah, we'll start with Tatsuya Imai, who has been dominant in spring training. Again, it's spring training, so I don't want to necessarily like look too much into it, but it is obviously worth talking about, right? He was the coveted pitcher from the Japan market, 28 years old. Throws upper 90s fastball, has had a good career in the MPB, goes to an Astros team where they just lost their best pitcher, or I guess second best pitcher, depending on how you view Framber and Hunter Brown. But he's immediately stepping into like massive shoes. I like Tatsuya Imai. I do think that, there's a reason why. Is he the favorite for Rookie of the Year, or is he second in the American League? I think he was the favorite, but wouldn't be surprised, obviously, to see him win Rookie of the Year.
No,
McGonigal?
No, it's Yesevich is the favorite. McGonigal's 2, Carter Jensen, Akamoto, Murakami, and then Imai. So 6th.
Okay, Imai's 6th.
Plus 850 for Imai.
It's an interesting bet to make, especially if Yesavage is going to get limited to start the year, right? And then we have McGonigal, who could potentially see some time in the minor leagues.
Bowden thinks he could win a batting title this season. He said that obviously a bit hyperbolic, but like he thinks he's like that good of a hitter.
He's that good, right? He's that good of a hitter.
And in last year, if you remember, Jacob Wilson was like leading Rookie of the Year for a very long time until Nick Kurtz came up.
Nick Kurtz just became the Hulk.
And he was doing it because he was hitting 380 for forever. So
he was. I really like Tatsuya Imai and the upside that you can get on him here. Very weird season for Tanner Bybee last year. Cade Horton, dude. Shame on the Cubs that we didn't get to see Horton in the postseason last year, because his second half of the season was incredible.
If you remember, they had him like a strict limit for him.
Limit, and he was dominant.
Yeah.
In this, Dude, first half of the year in 56 innings, he had a 4.5. In his 61 second half innings, Cade Horton pitched to a 1.03 ERA. He allowed 7 earned runs over 61 innings, Cade Horton did. 54 strikeouts over 61 innings. So the strikeouts even went way, way up in the second half. I'm buying Cade Horton at this ADP. I think Abbott is fine. He pitches in, a tough ballpark. Chris Bubich and Rodon are two interesting names that both are coming off injuries. Bubich didn't pitch at the end of last year after being an all-star and having a career season. He has pitched so far in spring and has looked pretty good. Obviously when it's a shoulder, you're a little bit concerned, but if you go look at everything Chris Bubich last year, it looks really good. Big time ground ball rate, a pretty good strikeout rate for a guy who in the past when he has started hasn't been able to strike guys out. He's basically at a strikeout per inning.
Yeah.
But it's just he's coming off a shoulder injury, and that's not what you want. But we're near at ADP 200. It's worth taking shots on high upside pitchers. Bubich, Rodon.
Rodon's gonna miss a little bit of time, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be back. They said in May. He's gonna be. It's hilarious. He's gonna be back before Garrett Cole.
Right.
So I think Bubich and Rodon, if you already have kind of an established staff or you're looking for upside down here, those two pitchers are obviously better than this ADP, but they both have risk because they're both coming off. One's coming off an elbow, one's coming off a shoulder. Edward Cabrera dealt with the shoulder last year as well, has mostly dealt with shoulders, but the guy was pitching last year.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a reason why he was such a hot commodity. There's another very high upside pitcher. I really like the Bubich, Rodon, Cabrera range. If you're looking for upside, if you're looking for some strikeout,
sure.
But you just know the inherent risk with all three guys coming off injuries.
Speaking of guys with injuries, Shane Bieber returned from injury last year, looked pretty decent, moved himself. What? You're out?
I'm so out.
Out on Bieber. You got Nola. You got McClanahan, says he's feeling good.
Yep.
You got Joe Musgrove, missed a bunch of time, obviously, down here. Merrikelly's hurt right now, I think. Roki, big hype last year. Obviously, had trouble adjusting. I mean, what are our thoughts in sort of this next deep 200 group?
So the reason with Bieber, John, is I feel like there was no chance. Do you know how last year when the Yankees declined Garrett Cole's option and then he immediately signed that deal? Immediately, a day later, signed a deal. And everyone was like, huh, that's kind of weird. And then this offseason, Shane Bieber, 5 seconds after they lost the World Series, was like, I'm going to opt into $14 million. Everyone's like, what? Dude, you could have got 2x that on the market. And then immediately there was a forearm issue with Shane Bieber.
Sure.
No thanks. We've had 2 Tommy Johns? Is it 2?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And now post this one, we're dealing with a forearm and he still hasn't thrown off a mound. I'm out. I'm so out. That is the ultimate red flag. The back half of this list, is McClanahan is another guy who's just been snake bit by injury, but has infinite upside when he's pitched. What will we get? How many innings will they pitch a guy that hasn't thrown in the majors since 2023?
Sure.
2023. We're in 2026. That was the last time Shane McClanahan was on a major league mound, which is sad because he's obviously a super talented pitcher.
Yeah.
Tough for me to go there. Musgrove coming off a major injury. I see Quinn Priester's name down here. He's now
Yeah,
out
he's
for
hurt.
an extended period of time. Roki, I mean, Dave Roberts could tell us all he wants that Roki's going to start the year as a starter. I don't know how that he ends the year as a starter. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd be good with like Leiter, Connolly early, and
Yeah,
possibly
some guys that like just missed Kodai Senga, Ryan Nelson, Bryce Miller, Bailey Ober's down here, Logan Henderson, a guy who looked really good. They just didn't pitch a ton last year. Ryan Weathers, your guy down just inside the top 90.
yeah, two of those guys. I don't know if Henderson's gonna. Do you think he open? Like, I don't think he's gonna open the year in the Brewers rotation. I don't know. Priester's out, but like, do they go Sprout,
I mean, they have options, right? I mean,
Woodruff, Mizorowski, Harrison, Patrick, and
mhm,
then it's probably like Sprout or Logan Henderson.
sure.
And then there was one. Who was the last name you said?
Ryan Weathers.
Yeah, Brian Weathers. The Ryan Weathers is interesting because he's obviously going to open the year as a starter, but long term, I don't know if he stays in the rotation. I don't know what's going to happen long term. I mean, Cole and Rodon come back, and you put Freed, Rodon, Cole, Schlittler, and then your fifth starter between Warren, with Weathers, and Heel. You know,
Yeah.
Ryan Weathers long term might be a bullpen arm,
Would
but
Justin Steele be a draft and stash for you?
yeah, I'm okay with it. Coming off, another major injury, which stinks for Justin Steele, but um,
Get Zebby down here. Jose Soriano, a guy that like can be dominant or can lose the plate.
dude, I think Jose Soriano, another guy that I've drafted late a lot in best ball this year. I mean, a lot of metrics really like there's a lot of metrics to like about Jose Soriano. One, he's 100th percentile ground ball rate.
Yeah.
He is the number one ground ball rate guy in baseball. 4.26 ERA, 4.03 expected, so is expected a little lower. 3.54 xFIP. Sierra under 4 as well. As you mentioned, 60. He has the 98 sinker, and that sinker was one of the better pitches in baseball last year, one of the better sinkers in baseball. So that would probably be the guy for me specifically outside of the top 75 that I would have in the top 75.
Yeah.
And probably pretty high up in the like I think Jose Soriano, if he makes 31 starts or 30 starts again, could be like a top 30 guy. If the consistency, if he gets the walks back to where they were in 24.
Yeah.
If he's back under 4 walks per 9, I think he could be that's the ceiling if there's consistency there.
Any other deep targets for you?
Any other deep targets? Who have I been drafting outside of Jose Soriano?
There's some names, like I said, there's Bailey Ober, Clay Holmes. Let's see.
It's the Mike Burrows is a guy that I like that the Astros got in a trade. I've been taking him late. Max Mayer is another guy coming off injury. Giolito still doesn't have a team. He obviously ran into a lot of really good luck last year.
Zebby down here.
Yeah, Zebby is a high strikeout guy. You want to take a look at a potential rookie. Andrew Painter is a guy that Philadelphia is super high on. That would be another one.
Okay. Again, pitching super deep. You can take some darts, and obviously you're going to be able to stream pitching in all of your leagues anyway. So as these position battles play out, make sure you go get the Fantasy Slam draft guide. We have all the updates coming through. Right now we're doing a whole bunch of positional spotlight articles, so you can get in-depth pieces. Grande is writing, was it first base and short?
Sure. I got 3 out in the last 2 days. You could go look at all my spotlights, but it's the whole Howard, Colby, Joe, and me just pumping them out for you guys.
So again, you can get those all as part of the Fantasy Slam draft guide. We appreciate you tuning in with us here. We'll catch you later.